online, on your smart speaker. This is Shout Radio.
The throbbing pulse of sound. The Toby Gribbon Show.
Frankie Rockin Smith is a dynamic musician known for his electrifying live performances and extraordinary vocal prowess, dedicated to revitalising the spirit of rock and roll for today's generation. And we had him on the show last year, and he's back with his new single, What We Got Is Rock and Roll, which is the first single of his upcoming album, Bring Back Rock and Roll. And Frankie is with us here. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Toby. Nice to hear from you.
Now, this new single, What We Got Is Rock and Roll, what can you tell us about it?
Well, the single, it's pretty much based on the 50s, 60s type music. And today all music is gone. They've sort of forgotten about, the rock and roll era.
Yeah.
And today it's more auto-tuned, and there's not real instruments heard, many real instruments heard on the songs today. It's all done electrically, through a computer. And the message is bring back rock and roll, which that's the title track. Is, it goes through the history of rock and roll, where Big Joe Turner, Bill Haley started off.
Yeah.
And it's showing, that we can still, how the real music was made back in the day, that we can still do it today.
Yeah.
So just trying to get that message out there, really,
And how do you go about capturing that sound and sort of recreating the music that was around in the 1950s?
Well, we just try to do it originally as we can and do it all raw. So I've got a fantastic piano player. His name's Lewis Chamberlain, and he plays just like Jerry Lee Lewis.
Wow.
He's brilliant. And I found this great guitarist online, and he's from Australia. And Mark D. Rosario, his name is, and he's a fantastic guitarist. And I've got a good friend called Keith Southwood. He's a bass player, and the management, MFB Music Management, he's got a great drummer on board. So what we're going to do is we're just going to record it. I'm mixing and producing it myself, but I'm doing it all the old original way.
Yeah.
With no tuning, no auto-tune, no synthesizers, nothing like that, and just do it as raw as we can get it, really, to the 50s sound.
Yeah. And are you kind of working with these people in person? I mean, you mentioned one of the musicians is in Australia, so I take it there is a kind of some level of remote recording going on.
Yeah, what it is, Mark, the guitarist, Mark D. Rosario, he's recording all his guitar, rhythm, lead, and everything, all his in, and he's just emailing it over to me, and I'm just mixing it as we go.
Yeah.
But the piano player, he's also emailing these parts over. But I've been in the studio with Keith Southwood, the bass player, and we've been working together in the studio on that. And the drum player, I think he's from Italy or something like that. So they're all spread across the world.
Yeah.
The musicians I'm working with.
And would you ever wish to kind of work with the people that send it by email in person? And do you think the music would maybe sound better for it in some way?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially if we did a gig together, we performed live, I think getting together would be perfect. But how we mix it, we got a click tempo, so we know it's all in time and we line it all up.
Yeah.
But it'd be lovely to work with him in person. I mean, Lewis is a good friend. We went back in college together, and he did music in college, so he's a good friend. But where he works hard, I work hard. It's just hard getting the time to meet up together. So it's easy just to he do his work in his spare time, and then I can do mine when I get spare time.
Yeah. And do you find that collaborating with several musicians helps bring out the best in your music, I suppose, because obviously you've not got to play all the instruments yourself, so you've got more time to focus on what you do, and also I guess, do the other musicians have some good ideas that you can incorporate as well?
Yeah, well, the piano player and the guitarist, they have they've added things in parts. They've recommended this or recommended that, and it's came out really good.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased with it. The last album I produced and done all the instruments myself. I play a bit of keyboard and I play guitar, but I'm not in these guys' league. I'm just a standard guitar player. But I had a piano instrument, like a keyboard, a Koi machine, and it gives you drum loops. You can do bass for the keyboard, but it was good for that album. What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger, which was released last year. It was good for that because that was rock, pop, country. It was a little mixture, and that worked well for me for that album. But for this, rock and roll, you got to have good musicians, and you got to try to do it as raw as you can get it, really.
Yeah. Now, the song "What We Got Is Rock and Roll" is set to be released under the private Swiss MFB music management label, as you said. So, what was it that drew you to collaborate with that label, and how do you think the partnership has influenced your creative process?
Well, I had another offer for another record label, and time we worked out fees and everything, they would have ended up owning 50% rights of my music, and I'd have ended up paying an extraordinary amount just for CDs and stuff like that. So with MFB Music Management, Michelle, the manager of that, he's a good friend and I trust him.
Yeah.
And we've had a good working relationship since 2017, since we done our first single together. And he understands good music. He loves rock and roll just like me. So together we work together. We've got good communication.
Yeah.
And he's very good at promoting and promotion. He's done everything. He got me on so many radio stations last year. In California played it. We had 2 #1 singles in a streaming voting chart.
Wow.
And I was very proud of that. And it was all thanks to him. So I thought if anybody's going to back this album, it's got to be myself from MFB Music Management.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, stay there. We'll play your new song, "What We Got Is Rock and Roll," and we'll talk to you more after we hear it.
I love you, Bob. You know I love the stroll. Together, what have we got? Well, it's rock and roll. What we got is rock and roll. Well, I know you like the twist. Well, I know you like the
joined by Frankie Rockin Smith. That's his new song, What We Got Is Rock and Roll. Well, your upcoming album overall, Back to Rock and Roll, will be coming out. So what can we expect from the album as a whole?
Well, there's a few ballads on the album, some good fast rock and roll songs, and I do a lot of the rock and roll clubs, and I've got a rock and roll festival weekender next year. So with them, they've got a dance for everything. So they do stroller dance, which is like a mid-tempo stroller, and then they got boppers where the teddy boys get up and they fast, flat out rock and roll dance to that. So I've pretty much put a little bit of everything in this album. There's also like a country rhythm and blues type song as well, because at the moment I'm doing a show called The History of Rock and Roll, and we go back, we start from Big Joe Turner. He started in 1938 and went right through the 40s into the early 50s, and one of the first rock and roll songs, well, this is considered to be one of the first rock and roll songs, is Shake, Rattle and Roll by Big Joe Turner. So we start off the show with that, and then we go through to the 50s. Fats Domino came along, then it was Bill Haley, Elvis Presley. A lot of people, as soon as I go do a show, you get tied in as being an Elvis tribute, or you always get that at the end of the night somewhere. And I try to tell them that, like, I just love rock and roll in general, and all these other guys like Big Joe Turner, Little Richard, Fats Domino. In the early 50s, a lot of African Americans didn't get rights, and they didn't get played on the radio and radio stations. It was only until Elvis Presley came along. Sam Phillips said he wanted a white man to sing black people's music. So it was then that Elvis Presley sort of took rock and roll further, but it goes back way before Elvis Presley. So we're describing that, doing that in the show. And then I came up with the idea of the album. I thought, why not go back to like Big Joe Turner stuff, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, like all these iconic legends, and try to write my own songs, but influence them on some of these legends. So there'll be a couple of songs on there that's heavily influenced on Elvis Presley. So similar to like Teddy Bear, Don't Be Cruel, Shook Up, something like that. And then there'll be like a song that's very similar, which this single, What We Got Is Rock and Roll, it sort of reminds me of a Bill Haley track, like Rock Around the Club. It's got that 50s feel to it. And I'm a big Shakin' Stevens fan as well. I love that he took rock and roll into the 80s when electro music was out, and they didn't want rock and roll in no more, but he took it and was very successful in becoming the biggest selling artist of the 80s. I love Jerry Lee Lewis as well, because he had a little country into his music, so it's country, rock and roll, rhythm and blues. So there's a little bit of everything in this album for everybody, like country, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, but it's proper. It's got a proper 50s feel to it.
And do you ever get annoyed? Because I guess a lot of people might hear about you or see you and I guess assume that you're some kind of Elvis or any rock and roll generally tribute, but really you're an artist in your own right.
Yeah, I do get that quite a lot. Like when I go to a show, they'll say, "Oh, hello, Mr. Elvis," or Shakin' Stevens, or Ricky Nelson, whatever. But I try to say that I'm not ashamed for the music that I was brought up on, and for where I come from. Rock and roll music was played a lot in my family, country and rock and roll. And it's nice to pay tribute to some of the legends, but I always try to be myself. I don't try to sound like Elvis Presley or Eddie Cochran or Bill Haley. I just try, or Shakin' Stevens, Elvis Presley. I just try to be myself. A lot of the dance moves I do during my show. Some of them, there's a few moves of Elvis Presley's, a few moves of Shakin' Stevens, but there's also a good few of my own. But combined together, when you had all these artists together, and then I write my music, I sing in my own style. So I think it sort of puts my own style across. And with this album, even for the cover, and when I'm doing the shows, I had my own jackets designed for this year, like white and black and blue, and pink and blue, and black with blue colour. Different look than say like Elvis Presley's look. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're an Elvis tribute." I said, but no. But a lot of the Elvis tributes, they wear the jumpsuits, the Elvis Presley white jumpsuits, or the leather suits when he did the '68 comeback. But I just try to be me, really, and just do the music that everybody loves.
Yeah. Well, and what's the audience like at your shows? Is it young, old, or a bit of a mix?
Depending on the club. A lot of the rock and roll clubs are 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. There's a guy there, he's in his 80s and he can still move as good as he could when he was younger. And he went to see Little Richard live and Jerry Lee Lewis, and I think it was Chuck Berry. They came to England, and he said he was such a good dancer that his name's Ollie and he's from Essex, and they called him up to the front, and Little Richard wanted to meet him backstage, and he said, we'll give you free tickets if you come along and do that at every show we got in the UK.
Wow.
He said, you're one of the best dancers I've ever seen, and he's 86 now, and I just cannot see where he gets his energy from. And they're up in the dance floor and he's dancing all night, and you get the women as well, the older ladies, they do like a stroller dance to some of the songs like The Wanderer, stuff like that, Dream Lover by Bobby Darin, and they love all that. But it's kind of a mixture. But then we go to a different social club or a club or whatever, and it's like people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So it's kind of a mixture. But mostly the music I do, it attracts more the older generation. I'd say 40s, 50s onwards.
Yeah. But do you hope to try and appeal to younger people and perhaps introduce this kind of music to them?
That's the mission for this album. I'm hoping to get it out to younger people.
Yeah.
Because in the lyrics on the song Bring Back Rock and Roll, it says when you go to see a singer perform at a show, they don't sound the same live. They're doing it way too low. Because if you see a singer on an album, they're singing like this high key, and when you see them live now, they're doing it a good couple of keys lower. Because you can hear in the studio they're being tuned, and there's been a lot of electronic symphonizers and everything's been added. But I think when you used to see a singer like Tom Jones, he's still going today, and his voice is still incredible. When he was in his younger days, he was better live probably than when he was on the album. And that went the same for Elvis Presley. A lot of these songs, like The Wonder of You, that was only ever recorded live because he sung it so good live that he couldn't get it as good in the studio. It just proved that they were naturally talented. And I'm not knocking any artists of the day. I mean, I do love certain music. I love Robbie Williams, Ollie Murs, Michael Jackson. I like some of the Weekend stuff, but it's this music, the rock and roll. I love reggae as well. I love UB40 and Bob Marley. Big fans of theirs. But it's rock and roll, country, rhythm and blues. It's always been that type of music that stood out for me.
Yeah.
I remember being about 5 or 6 year old, and my granddad had a lot of cassette tapes, and he loved Charlie Pride, Marty Robbins, country artists, and my dad loved rock and roll, Shakin' Stevens, Elvis, Ricky Nelson, and I used to collect. My dad got me into collecting records, and I'd be about 6 year old, and I'd be going around a car boot sale or something and saying, "Excuse me, do you have any Little Richard? Do you have any Elvis Presley or Shakin' Stevens?" Young to remember these people. You should be asking for modern music. And no, I wouldn't have it. And at school, all my mates were into modern music, and sometimes they'd laugh and say, "Oh, what's this music you're listening to?" But I stood my ground with it, and I'm pleased I did, because I'm doing a job that I'm doing something that I love doing, and I believe that if you enjoy what you're doing, you never have to work a day in your life. To me, I'm not working. I'm just living the dream, really. I'm just doing what I love doing, and every time I can see a smile on someone's face in that crowd, and I'm performing, it just gives me the heart to keep doing it. It gives me the willpower to keep going on and keep doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the best enjoyment I think you can get. Singing, entertaining, and especially bringing enjoyment to other people as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll play you one of your other songs, "What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger," and we'll talk to you more after this.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You've made it this far. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Though some things might have ripped you apart. Sometimes you have to experience the bad so we can appreciate the good things that we have. During the last few years, we've seen some crazy stuff go on in our lives.
Frankie Rockin Smith, that's his song, What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. Well, as well as the album and the single, Wild, Wild and Free will also be released as a bonus track. So, what can you tell us about that song and how does it kind of complement the main single?
Well, I ended up writing about 18, 20 tracks for this album, and I didn't end up picking all of them. So me and the management, we picked the top 12, 14 tracks, and there were some leftover songs, and I thought it's a shame to waste them because they were decent tracks. They weren't as good as the album tracks, the songs that scan on the album, but like you say, Wild, Wild and Free, it was a good song, and it had the Shake, Rattle and Roll, Big Joe Turner feel to it. And I thought, let's put it on the B-side of the single, the bonus track. And then when people's buying the CD, the single CDs, they're getting something that's not on the album. Because a lot of people say, I'll wait for the album, I won't bother with the single because the single's going to be on the album. But with this way, they're getting something of me to add to the collection, and they're getting bonus tracks as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a good track, but I think it would not be as good as like the album tracks, So that's why it was just a bonus track on the single. And I thought, well, let's not waste them. Let's just try to get many recordings and stuff out of me that I can.
Yeah.
So that's just another release under my name. So when I go on Spotify or iTunes or any of the streaming sites, that'll be on there as well for the fans.
Yeah. Well, what is the overall message that you hope listeners will kind of take away from both those singles and the upcoming album?
Well, it's basically really what's happened to the music, what's happened to the music of the day. And there's another track on the album as well, and that's called What Happened to the Good Old Music Back in the Day. And that's a little country rock and roll track. And it's just saying, the message is just saying that, bring back some real instruments, sing it the way you're singing it live, do it in the studio. Don't use these auto tuners and electro music, I don't think you'll beat the original way of recording. Yeah. Like I say, people like Tom Jones, Elvis Presley, they were better live than they were on the albums or the singles. And I think that it's good to bring back the old music as well. I mean, good that they've got new music and technology's gone forward, but don't forget about the old music. And some of the singers should maybe go into doing some old type music. I mean, like Meghan Trainor and Ollie Murs, they did that. Ollie Murs did Dance With Me Tonight, and one of his second album, in case you didn't know, it was influenced on Motown, doo-wop style, and I loved that because he had Dance With Me Tonight, and that was a number one in the UK, and that was sort of based, if you listen to the chords on Dance With Midnight by Ollie Murs, that is based on like Run Around Sue by Dion and the Bellmans. And then Meghan Trainor, she had that Dear Future Husband, which were pretty much the same similar chords, and that was based on a doo-wop 50s 60s type style. And Meghan Trainor's done quite a few tracks now. I think she's the only one who's still doing tracks with a modern pop beat with the old 50s 60s doo-wop style. And I love that, and I think there should be more artists out there to do that. And it's just a younger generation now, just hearing all this modern technology music, these rap artists, and they're not hearing the music that we were brought up with, Yeah.
Well, after this album and the singles, is there anything else you're working on?
I suppose it'd just be promote. After doing this album, I'll just do my best to promote it, get it out there and do the best I can. And then afterwards, we'll see. I probably might try to do a Christmas single or something. Ooh. It's been a while since I've had a Christmas single, so I might just try to do a one-off song as a Christmas single or something like that. But I'll continue writing for the next project. Actually, I've even got 4 tracks written already. So I love to keep busy, especially with the music. It helps me relax. If I'm stressed, if I've had a bad day, or I'm not feeling too good, music just helps me relax. Just by writing or recording some demos and doing stuff like that, it just helps me relax. It's the best. I think music is the best medicine you can get.
Absolutely.
Feeling down, music can make you feel high spirited. I mean, if I have this fan on Facebook, she follows me and she's bought all my CDs, and she said every day I brighten her life every time she hears me. So This is a shout out to Leslie. Her name is Leslie. She's one of my biggest fans, and she said that just by hearing my music every day brightens her life. She's been through a lot in her life, and she said just by hearing my music and following me, it just brought so much enjoyment to her life, and that touches my heart. That means a lot, that I can make such a change in someone's life and bring enjoyment to people. That's the best thing I think you can get. That means the world to me. It's never been about the money for me with music. I'm not in this for the music, the money. I mean, if I can get a few quid off it, then I'll be more than grateful. But if I don't, it's just about the enjoyment of music.
Yeah. Well, where are we able to find this single? What we got is Rock and Roll, and the album when it comes out.
Well, it'll be on all the streaming music stores: iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, and so many more. I think it's being released on all the major streaming platforms. And I'm offering a limited edition signed copy of a CD for each single, and we'll be doing a signed CD for the album. And at the moment, MFB Music Management is helping me open up a shop store on my website, so people can purchase the CDs through the website, which is www.frankierockinsmith.com. But as for now, a lot of people just go on my Facebook page, and a lot of people just message me and order from there, and I sign them, and I have great contact with my fans on Facebook. Sometimes we video call, and sometimes I go live and I sign CDs on there for them, and have a little chat to them. So I personalise the CD if they want to sign it to someone else, or it's a gift for somebody. But there'll be an option for that on the website as well, so they can always leave a message if they want it personalised, signed by to anybody, Yeah. But we're working on that at the moment.
Excellent.
But as for now, if they want a CD, that'll be through me, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all the major social media sites. And the album and singles will just be on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, and all the major streaming platforms.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for joining us. It's been great having you on the show today.
Well, thank you, Toby, so much for having me again. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Wasn't looking for nothing here tonight.